The moment is here, you can stop your search. It's Comics by Perch.
Hey everybody, this is Perch. It's kind of an annoying time in pop culture, right? I mean, unless you're really, really, really in love with kind of the YouTube culture war type stuff. And I don't mean, when I mean by really in love with it, I mean you just love the fight. You love kind of the entire dynamic of coming on and bitching about things, one direction or the other. The right wing is being crazy or the left wing's too woke or whatever. Unless you really enjoy that. It's kind of an annoying time. And I mean, case in point, we've got Indiana Jones out in theaters. And, the way I think, to look at this in kind of in a normal world would be, oh man, he's old. I wonder if he could still do it. I remember Indiana Jones. That was a movie when I was a kid. It was the kind of, for many, many, many people, it defined kind of the adventure genre. I mean, look, if you're a kid in the 80s, you dressed up as Indiana Jones for at least one Halloween, almost guaranteed. And as a kid, you kind of vaguely understood but didn't kind of the subtext to things like Raiders of the Lost Ark. And when Marion said, "You broke my heart, I was just a child," and you're like, wait a minute, older you watch that and you're like, Indiana Jones may have been a bit of a pedo, but I don't know. But as a kid, it's like the adventure. I mean, people want to be Indiana Jones, so you get this sequel coming out. I remember when Crystal Skull came out, people were very excited. Like, oh, it's another Indiana Jones. I wonder if he could do it, man. He's older. I hope he can do it. I hope they don't make a bunch of jokes about his age. They did. And then you're like, Shia LaBeouf. Why? This guy's never gonna, this guy's never gonna take off. He's not a good actor. And then the movie is just not very good, and flying saucers and other things. It's like, okay. But here we are with another installment, again, years later, like many, many years later, we got another Indiana Jones. There's been a lot of talk about there being an Indiana Jones for years. And the big topic of conversation is, how's that Kathleen Kennedy bitch going to buck it up again? I mean, it's a shame, and by the way, hopefully there's not somebody stupid enough to come in here and go, "Oh, Perch is saying we can't complain." No, I'm not saying that, but wouldn't it be nice if we didn't have to? That'd be nice, right? I'd like to live in that world. I'm not saying we live in that world today. I'm saying I'd like to live in that world where a new Indiana Jones movie or Star Wars movie or some other big part of pop culture could just come out and people would be like, "Hey, I'm excited because this is a brand I do as a kid and that could be kind of cool." I mean, can you imagine? I've got two daughters and they're growing up. And I'm thinking about the cool bits of pop culture I consumed as a kid, like Star Wars, like Star Trek, like Indiana Jones. Things like The Goonies and Gremlins and movies like that. And, the idea that as an adult, there would be a sequel to those things and these franchises would keep rolling, I would have been pretty excited about that idea as a kid. I think about my daughters. I mean, think about the people growing up now. Good Lord, what are they going to be excited about? It's like, oh man, when they're my age, and it's like, hey, there's going to be a Blue's Clues revival, or Paw Patrol is got a gritty reboot. Like, oh fuck, nobody wants that. Like, are we gonna, like, 30 years from now, are we gonna have Fast and the Furious 50? I mean, I hope not. I mean, it's just with the franchises that are coming out right now. Oof. I'm picturing when I was on the plane to Japan, they had this. They had Scream as one of the movies, and I tried watching this thing, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't. It wasn't near and dear to my heart when I was younger, when the first Scream movie came out. It was kind of a meta take on horror, and that was fine. But now I don't even know, this Scream, what, 7, 6, 8, 15? I'm watching this thing and it's like, this is just ass. This is terrible. And so I think pop culture, and so while hopefully none of you, but some of you maybe, are listening to this going, "Oh, here's Perch trying to defend the establishment again." No, I'm saying this all sucks. This all sucks. Look, I feel pretty confident that Indiana Jones 5, Dial of Destiny, is not going to give me the amazing kind of inspirational adventure feels of Raiders of the Lost Ark. I feel pretty confident in that. Now, maybe that's going to maybe that will be because, midway through the movie, Harrison Ford is spouting lines like toxic masculinity. Why did it have to be toxic masculinity? Or maybe he's, they're going to recreate the boulder rolling atom scene, except, the boulder will represent balls. And, it's about how men suck, or I don't know. At some point, is Indiana Jones going to, save a bunch of people from kind of, raining rocks in a cave somewhere, and in the middle of trying to escape, he's going to go, I'm glad we were able to save all these lives, but the lives we really need to save are trans lives. That's what's important. Like, I don't know why it's going to, I feel pretty confident I'm not going to love this movie. I mean, it may be fine. I don't think I'm going to hate it, by the way. There's definitely people all signed on ready to hate it. And in many cases, a lot of the people signed on ready to hate it, just need a big movie to hate because their entire channel's business model is built off that. And by the way, I got a mail. It wasn't enough to do a whole video on. I got a mail going, why are there so many people who seem pissed at everything? And they, they've got channels, and like the headline every time is like, this sucks. This is fucked up. This is dying. Why are there so many channels like that? And the answer to that is an easy one. I'll explain it right after I remind you that I've got some merchandise that you can buy right now in the Perch store. And don't forget those super chats. And hey, I've got this other thing you can fund. Did you know that I'm partnering up with NordVPN to provide you, good service? Use my name in the checkout, and anyway, that's why. But regardless, the challenge here is that I think we've got this unholy marriage right now between people who kind of are exhausted by the, I've said this before, the dullness of pop culture. Because I said this before, and man, people just exploded on it, but it's still true. We could talk about things being woke, not woke, etc., but boring is a common thread in a lot of this stuff. Yes, it's possible for something to be boring and politically correct or woke or whatever you want to call it. It's possible, certainly, to have both those things. But the root of the problem is boring. Like, again, I want you to remember, forget all the different YouTube videos, mine and others that you've seen, and all the different commentary, and all the speculation about how much money Indiana Jones spent on marketing and all that. Forget all that for a moment. And remember, if you will, the first time you saw Raiders of the Lost Ark, or Temple of Doom, or Last Crusade, remember when you watched those movies. Do you remember the feeling that you had in kind of inside of you, the feeling of that there was excitement, that there was some adventure, it was a really cool thing to watch? Remember kind of early James Bond films? I mean, whatever era you came from, whether you're a Sean Connery person, Pierce Brosnan, maybe you're that person, I don't know. Or, remember the Daniel Craig when he came into the franchise and he did the first James Bond movie? And there's that bit where they're like, crushing his nuts and other thing. But anyway, do you remember watching that movie? And it felt exciting. It felt tense. Do you remember Roger Moore? The scene I will always remember because it's so absurd. And I don't remember the movie. I think it was the one where he went to San Francisco and there was, adventure going on there. But the movie opened. James Bond used to open with a big adventure sequence every movie. And in this one, James Bond is in, a ski area or whatever. And he's, there's kind of spy hijinks going on. Then he has to escape. And he escapes on a snowmobile and skis and other things. And then at one point they break into, I wish they all could be California girls for no apparent reason while he's skiing. But this entire scene, while funny and ludicrous, was also exciting. Do you remember that? Do you remember those feelings? So fast forward to today. And you watch, again, I'm not going to comment on the new Indiana Jones film. I haven't seen it yet. I will see it. But I'm betting I won't get those same feelings. Now, is the problem the movie or me? Have I just become a bitter old person that I can no longer kind of find excitement in things? No, I don't know if you saw Bullet Train. Movie's pretty fun. Felt exciting. Some good stuff went on there. I watched John Wick 4. Pretty good. There are scenes in John Wick where it's like, all right, we're just going to have this fight sequence go on for 10 minutes where it needs to have 2. And by the way, I understand you've got a Kevlar suit there, but you can't just hold it over your face and have people fire guns point blank at you and you'll be fine. And if you get hit with a car going 40 miles an hour, you can't just bump and roll off and then jump up and shoot somebody with a gun. But regardless, it was still fun. I'm capable of having those exciting feelings. But, you go to, I watched the latest James Bond movie. And my primary feeling was bored. Bored. Now, I know there's other stuff they were trying to do. It's like, well, we're going to introduce a new James Bond over here. And, there's a woman who's stronger, better, smarter, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And yes, that's a culture war aspect of all of it. But the big problem was, put it this way. Here's another little experiment you can do. There are movies, if you go back in time and you use the same kind of litmus test that people are using for today's pop culture, use that same kind of, is there a super strong female protagonist, and is there all that kind of stuff that goes on? And you apply it to older movies. You apply it to Star Wars, the original one. I mean, Princess Leia at various times just makes all the men look like dumbasses in that movie. There are bits there, but the movie was exciting. To me, I think that the challenge I have with pop culture, and again, this is not aimed at you, the fans, who always seem to take offense to this stuff. It's really aimed at the people making these films. Whatever you're putting into it, left-wing values, right-wing values, whatever thing you're putting into the movie's not generating that spark of excitement. And when your genre is adventure or action or spy kind of stuff, that's a problem. And if you want to make money off of the nostalgia plays, good for you. It can be fun. You still need to make it, the important part of the nostalgia is not the characters and not, their names or not their costumes. It's the feeling you got. Nostalgia is a feeling. And if you're doing a movie where nostalgia is kind of the thing you're trying to play, you can't bypass the core element that people are nostalgic for, which is a feeling of excitement and adventure. That's just a big problem. So, look, again, there's lots of reasons why a film doesn't get exciting and everything else, but if it's boring, it's a problem. And so to end the video where I began, it's a painful time to love pop culture because all aspects of it, the big fight of who's doing what and what motives are here and all the rest, and the content itself, it's just there's a million distractions to what I show up to the movie theater for or read the comic book for or whatever it happens to be. There's a million things getting in the way of that. The feeling that you're after, that most people are after, is a feeling of satisfaction, of feeling excited about something, of enjoying the ride or the story, whatever it happens to be. That's what people are after. And so, making it simpler for you, the corporations, the companies, you need to remember the key ingredient, the key element that brought people to the table in the first place, and that's enjoyment. And if you're coming at a movie and saying, our primary goal is to reach a new audience by being inclusive, you've screwed up. One, you're not going to reach that new audience, and you're going to isolate your old audience because the thing that's bringing people to the table is not right-wing values or left-wing values or inclusion or any of that. That's not what brings people into the theater, into a comic shop, what causes them to open up and take, consume the media. What gets them there is a feeling of excitement, a feeling of their experience is going to be worthwhile. That's the focus area. That. If you nail that, the rest tends to fall into place. And again, reading the comment boards on YouTube videos, you may not, believe this is true, but audiences of culture, of pop culture, of media and other things are extremely forgiving. Meaning if you've got an exciting movie, but it's got one or two clunky scenes in it or one or two eye-rolling, politically correct scenes, people will overlook and forgive it if the core experience is exciting. Look, the Super Mario Brothers movie, the cartoon that recently came out, not that old piece of shit, that the live action thing with John Leguizamo, not that thing, but the recent one. If you apply the standards of a lot of kind of criteria you're online, around a girl boss and kind of a, simpy kind of guy and all the rest of that kind of stuff. Mario checks a lot of those boxes. Princess Peach is instantly good at whatever she does, and Mario sucks. But the movie was entertaining. It basically delivered on the core thing, which is, hey, do you like Mario Brothers? Do you like that nostalgic feeling of the music and the characters and kind of a lot of the Nintendo references? Did you play a lot of that as a kid? Did you like that feeling of kind of lighthearted fun and excitement where Bowser was threatening, but also kind of a doofus, and Luigi was a, wimpy little bitch, and, Mario kind of fumbled his way through things, but still saved the day? Did you like that feeling when you were a kid playing those games? Well, the movie's going to give you that. And they're, sure, we're going to overpower Princess Peach. She's not going to be like the original character. It just hangs out in the castle going, oh, thank you, Mario. You saved me. She's going to, be more controlling, more of a leader. But that's not going to matter to you because you're going to have fun watching it. So my point here is go for the excitement. And pop culture, it's a tough time. A lot of the old brands are coming back, and it's a very cheap attempt by Hollywood to carve money out of your pocket by appealing to your childhood. But they left out the core element of your childhood that you're trying to retain. That seems to be a problem. Anyway, thanks for listening.